The Museum Roadshow is brought to you by 125 Apparel.
Hi, I'm Kathy Coyle, volunteer with the Becker County Museum. I'm here with Becky Mitchell, who is the director. Let's find out why you need a new museum, Becky.
There's so many reasons, Kathy. Our current structure, we really struggle with the structure. The brick is crumbling, and we're having issues with shifting. We have water damage that happens quite often. There's times where we've had water coming up from the basement pipes and down from the ceiling. We've had a lot of damage of artifacts over the years due to that, and documents, newspapers, original documents, and that's just not something that we want to continue to see happen.
And you can't lose those. Once they're gone, they're gone.
They're gone, and we have been scanning them, of course, so we have records of them, but there's nothing quite like holding an original document from the late 1800s. And from a programming perspective, we've really increased our programming the last few years. We went through a visioning process with the state of Minnesota, worked on expanding our disciplines to add in science and children, and really worked to just really engage the region and the county. And everybody's responding. Our camps are full, our programming is busy, and we're really utilizing this building to its capacity. And so we're at a point that if we're going to do the due diligence of keeping those artifacts safe and moving them into the next generations and continue to increase our programming, we need a new facility.
And I've noticed that if a child comes for one of those fun camps, if they have any kind of disability and they can't make the stairs, they can't participate. So that's a huge part, and Becky's done such a great job of having these noon luncheon sessions where we learn from many people in our community. Once again, if you can't make those stairs, can't participate. So how's the building going to look so everybody can participate? Scott Walls from the Volunteer Building Committee.
It's going to look beautiful. If you're not familiar with the plan, it's going to be basically an extension of the Holmes Theater. So outside it'll look exactly like that, as an extension of the Holmes Theater. Inside it's going to have a huge exhibit area, lots of classroom space. There's with the new programming, there's the children's and science portion of this that's going to be included in there. There's office space. There's going to be a coffee shop with a drive-up window, and plenty of room for some additional expansion and to get all these artifacts that we rarely get to see the way it's set up right now will all have their chance to be seen.
You were involved in the Ice Palace. You can get memorabilia from the Ice Palace days in the gift shop too.
Yes, and it'll have the gift shop. There's a gift shop now at the museum, but yeah, this will be a bigger and better gift shop to buy all your wonderful Ice Palace gear.
Let's find out how the campaign is going, because Becky and her volunteer crew have been out there with their hand out. Is there something in that hand? Are you getting results, Becky?
We are getting results. We've been so blessed to have such a positive reaction from our community. We are just shy of that halfway point right now. We have several large asks out. We're in the private ask stage, hoping to wrap that up in November. Lots of asks out, lots of asks to be done, but again, just really positive. Everybody's really enthusiastic about it, and we just need to keep that ball rolling, so to speak, so that we're in a really good position to break ground in 2020.
I had a chance to witness your House Bonding Committee came from St. Paul to see the structure themselves, because they've seen Becky down in St. Paul telling them the need, but they were really impressed or depressed by the need.
I think they were impressively depressed, yes. Yes, they, as part of their bonding tours, they go out and visit various bonding projects. We were one of their stops, and I think actually Scott was along on that trip down to St. Paul last March, and I think that being here really reinforced everything we had told them. They were able to see the lack of accessibility from a handicap physical limitation standpoint. They were able to see our bathrooms, which have only cold water, and sometimes the sinks don't work, and one toilet, and just all of the struggles that we have, lots of awkward spaces here in this facility. And so they were able to witness that firsthand, and I think that really helped drive the point. That
how big will the exhibit area and the museum in general be compared to this smaller facility?
That's a tricky question because square footage size, it's about double, but usable space is a different story. There's a lot of awkward spaces in this facility. This is an old church building, so there's a lot of closets, a lot of back stairwells, and so usable space, it's about 3 times the amount of square footage.
Great. And I've noticed from other communities, if you have a standalone, people don't come as often as they do if you are where the action is, where the historic homes theater is, and where the community center is, and it's all going to be one bundle.
I've referred to this to Becky as this is going to be the heart of Detroit Lakes with the history, the entertainment, the health part of it. This block will be the heart of Detroit Lakes, and then you add the Chamber of Commerce on there as well. But this is going to be a very busy part of the community.
Scott, you and your wife, Tiffany, we should mention her too, Tiffany Walls, are very involved in this whole campaign. You have teenage children. Why is your family so devoted to the museum and the future, history and science?
Well, many reasons. One would be, as a surveyor, history and science are 2 things that I deal with every day and have a great appreciation for on a daily basis. The other part is we're big part of we love this community. My wife and I really, we're born and raised here. We love this community, and we really believe in what Becky's doing here, that this is going to be a great addition, just like the Holmes Theater and the community center were in the mountain. It was when it got added, and the new Boys and Girls Club. This is going to be a great new feature for this community that's necessary from Becky's standpoint and is going to be a huge asset going forward.
And it's not just Detroit Lakes, it's all of Becker County.
Right. Yes, and then it will support all of Becker County's history as well. The history component is a big love of mine and my wife.
And Becky, the Native American element is definitely alive and well here. Emily is an important part of your staff.
Absolutely. The museum has always had a First Nations display, and the plan is to not only continue that, of course, but to increase that. That is our original history of Becker County, and we want to make sure that that component is there and that we all learn from all of the cultures from our county.
Okay.
So, part of this process of our visioning that we did a few years ago is we expanded our mission, and we came up with the Preserve, Connect, Explore, Reimagine theme, and really the thought behind that is we want to preserve our past, we want to honor all of that history, make sure it's there for the future, but we want to also connect to today. A lot of our programming is very relevant to today's world. Our robotics camps help kids realize that there's robotics jobs right here in Detroit Lakes and in Becker County, but then we want to set up ourselves to explore for the future and how do we move forward with technology and 21st century learning. And so we want you to reimagine the Becker County Museum.
And I had the really pleasant opportunity to interview a couple of old-timers in the county, and that's part of it too, to have those interviews so that we have them in the archive and people in the future can learn what farming was like in the past when people were really scraping the bottom economically and having to rent foreclosed farms from the state. I learned about that from Mr. Ronning, and all about Lake Melissa and Shoreham and what it was like with the steamboat going out there from Jim Dixon's memory, and all of that is important too.
Absolutely. I think it's great to have all of our material that we have from old newspapers and family albums and scrapbooks, but there is nothing quite like being able to listen to somebody talk about their days of harvesting ice as a job, not as a fun activity that we're doing in today's world, but as a job where they were trying to make it through those winter months. Or coming on vacation at Shoreham, as Mr. Dixon would have talked about, and all of what that meant. That's a different component of life than living here every day. And so those future interviews, I think, will be all the more informative, especially to our youth who seem to like to pop on a pair of headphones or open up a screen as opposed to opening a book. So.
Any challenges, Scott, when you're looking at that building? This represents the county, and you're attaching to a city facility. That must have made it more complicated to make plans for the future.
Well, there was a lot of different entities involved for sure. And there again, credit goes to Becky. She did a great job of identifying the need to get all of those groups together at a very early stage and think what's best for all parties involved. And it's worked out really well. Fortunately, everybody's very workable. They all see the need and the benefit to all parties. This will be a benefit to the Holmes Theater as well. We'll be able to redesign the whole lobby and entrance into that and make some more accessible steps than the ones that are currently entering the theater and stuff now. So it's, in the end, it's really become a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, I didn't realize how dangerous those steps were until I heard a presentation from you two. So as I age, I'm going to appreciate those new steps. I'm going to appreciate them tomorrow even. So let's get this thing built. If you want to get involved, there will be volunteers calling in mid-November, but I think it would be so nice if you would just take the motivation to call the museum, make a pledge. They'll give you up to 5 years if you want. They'd like it in 3 years, but I told them that they'll get more money from me if I can spread it out over 5 years with my pledge. So keep that in mind when you're looking for a wonderful nonprofit. It's an educational tool, and it's preserving history. It's all sorts of things. It's going to build up the tourism, the industry for tourism, helping out the restaurants, the hotels, the livelihood of Becker County. So it's a great project. So I hope you'll get involved. Call the Becker County Museum, find out how you can get involved as a volunteer or sitting at the desk out here. Those people are really, really important too. So there's many opportunities. This is Kathy Coyle reporting for the Becker County Roadshow.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Museum Roadshow, brought to you by 125 Apparel.